who thought I was going to be a scientist and I'm going to be a real estate agent. So whatever our fear is, here's reality number one. You want to know a little secret, Kristen? You want to know a little secret of life? People don't think about us anywhere near as much as we think they do. So all of this, oh my God, he's mad at me or she's mad at me. I can't believe I just did that. All of that stuff is just our ego being out of control. And when I trained agents, I used to think, aren't they doing what they need to do? Everybody knows. Here's the thing. It's pretty basic to succeed in this business. Do some open houses, let your friends and relatives know you're here. Go out and knock on some doors, call some people, basically put yourself in front of the public. But again, our ego is there to keep our feelings from getting hurt. It's not there to say, you just missed out on a big opportunity, you coward. I've never heard anybody's ego say, mine doesn't say that.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm Kristen, and I'm here with Will Inglis, who is an agent out of Howard County and also an educator. We're going to get all into mindset today, so I'm really excited about that. Thanks for being here, Bill.
Well, thank you for inviting me. And I'll start off by sharing a little anecdote that in a book I read about Theodore Roosevelt. Somebody said, the guy on Mount Rushmore, somebody said once, would you like to be memorialized or just thought of for the rest of eternity as one of the famous presidents in American history? And he said, I care not one whit whether somebody remembers me 15 minutes longer or shorter than the next man. And I think, it's funny. There's another great quote. Hemingway said that economics becomes silly after 200 years. And like in my county, who was the richest, most powerful person 200 years ago? Nobody knows or cares. But people do remember the influence you had on the people in your life. And more importantly, those people have an influence on other people. And it's like the analogy a friend gave me, it's like ripples in a pond. We can, in essence, achieve immortality that even Mount Rushmore can't give us because we are stewards of our own direction. And we also give guidance to other people in our lives. And we have an obligation as realtors and as human beings to try to make that as positive and forceful as we can.
Absolutely. And I think what's interesting is nobody ever really knows the impact that you have on people. Like, you might be surprised at, just encouragement or support, how much that means to someone and how that trickles down into their life.
Well, there's an old saying, absolutely. And there's an old saying that when the pupil is ready, the teacher will appear. And one of the most frustrating things and we have to educate our clients too, the old thing about having a champagne taste and a beer budget.
Mhm.
Sometimes we got to give them hard reality. Sometimes a husband wants to have a 2-car garage and a wife wants to be in a different school district. And we have to not just educate them, but reconcile two very difficult issues to reconcile as realtors. I think we can make a difference in that way. And when I used to train real estate agents, I was one of the 4 trainers for the biggest real estate company in Central Maryland. I've always wondered, why did some of my agents would sell 5 or 6 houses the first month after getting a license, and others would never sell anything. And the thing that I really came to fixate on was that after doing a lot of research on this, was the biggest thing that holds us back as agents is our ego.
Absolutely. I think that
So you've already come to that same conclusion, Kristen. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no.
Uh, I would be curious if I can ask you a question. What is it? How did you come to the same conclusion? Because I absolutely believe that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think it applies to a lot of people. I think that we all just kind of get in our own way a lot of the time, and the people who are very genuine and are able to connect with others are usually the people that succeed.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
You know, that's an interesting point too. There's another famous quote. I quote people all the time. It's just when I find one I like, I grab onto. Like this one comes from Emerson. Who you are is so loud, I can't hear what you're saying.
Mm,
Isn't that a beautiful quote? And
yeah,
so when you have to pretend to like people in order to get their business, don't people pick up on that?
yeah.
I think they do. And so this is where I think real estate is actually a great profession for getting our ego under control. Our ego's not there to say, go for it. There's a great chance. It's there to keep us from getting our feelings hurt. So we want to puff ourselves up with whatever pride and ego we have. And as a consequence, we miss out on a lot of opportunities in life because we're afraid. I'm afraid to ask some girl out. I'm afraid to go knock on somebody's door.
Mhm.
I'm afraid to pick up the phone and call some. I'm afraid to tell people, who thought I was going to be a scientist that I'm going to be a real estate agent. So whatever our fear is, here's reality number one. You want to know a little secret, Kristen? You want to know a little secret of life? People don't think about us anywhere near as much as we think they do.
Mhm.
So all of this, oh my God, he's mad at me or she's mad at me. I can't believe I just did that. All of that stuff is just our ego being out of control. And when I trained agents, I used to think, aren't they doing what they need to do? Everybody knows. Here's the thing. It's pretty basic to succeed in this business. Do some open houses, let your friends and relatives know you're here. Go out and knock on some doors, call some people, basically put yourself in front of the public. But again, our ego is there to keep our feelings from getting hurt. It's not there to say, you just missed out on a big opportunity, you coward. I've never heard anybody's ego say, mine doesn't say that.
Yeah.
So I would like to hear more from you, actually. I feel like I'm monopolizing the conversation.
Oh,
What are your thoughts on this issue, Kristen?
yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you. I'm very aligned with that. I think that, the thought that people don't think about us as much as we think they do is totally spot on. And I think that stops a lot of people from pursuing passions and dreams and from being authentic. Maybe they try to shapeshift into what they think somebody else wants from them when it's really not at all the truth. But I think it's really interesting. And in what way do you think being a realtor kind of pushes those boundaries for you?
I'm going to tell you one of the best stories that I have from training agents. This was a lady from Africa. She was an immigrant, a first generation immigrant. And I said, so you can make money just knocking on doors and say, hey, you want to list your house? Hey, you want to list your house? You see, if you repeat that 100 times, you'll get somebody says, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, here's our exercise for the day. And I gave her some scripts. And she was like, I can't do that. Me, walk up to somebody's house and bang on their door, some random stranger's house, and say, okay. And I said, well, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. That's another beautiful thing about this business. And she said, thank you, Mr. Inglis, for not pressing me on that. But next week, when I asked everybody, how did the door knocking go? She raised her hand. And her name was Sue. And I said, well, I guess you didn't do the door knocking, right? That was the assignment for the week. And she said, I did it. I said, wow, that's really gutsy of you. You fought through your fear. You put your ego back in its box where, it comes out when it's necessary, but it doesn't dominate your life. And she said, I brought my daughter with me. And I told her, I want you to see how a woman conquers her fears. Isn't that a great story?
It's a great story. It really is.
If you're looking for consistent, high quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
And, I tell my students, whether I'm training agents or whether I'm teaching continuing education or whether I'm working with an investor flipping a house, I learn from the people in my life all the time. I learn from my students. I learn from just the other day with the last class I taught. TriStar Academy. I hope people will give them consideration if you would like my teaching expertise. I had a student who said I ended up in a settlement where the transfer taxes were completely messed up because the homeowner who was selling was a disabled veteran. And my father's a veteran with a very severe disability. And I thought, well, I know they give discounts on transfer taxes for students and teachers and firemen and policemen, et cetera. I never heard of a discount where they waive your property taxes if you're a veteran. And apparently in this jurisdiction, maybe they claimed it was a Maryland-wide program that, yes. And I'm thinking my parents are still in their home they've been in for 30 years. That could be something that would really out of the mouth of babes, right? All of us can learn from any of us. And that's another place where our ego may get out of control.
Absolutely. And I know, kind of shifting gears a little bit, I know that work-life balance, you're really passionate about that, like leaving room in your life to have other passions outside of work. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. When I was the rookie of the year for my state for the biggest company in the jurisdiction. I'm not bragging about that. I'm just telling you that I worked my rear end off to accomplish that. I literally worked 362 days that year. The first 3 years I was in real estate. I took off Christmas and maybe the 4th of July and one other day, but it was work, work, work. I'm going to be the top salesperson. And eventually I was the top salesperson in my office, but I got burned out. I got miserable. And you need a certain psychological fortitude to be able to deal with a job where ask how many people that you know says, how'd you like a job where you make $20,000 this month and you might make nothing for the next month or the next 2 months? And
Little anxiety.
not too many people are interested in that job, regardless of the salary. I mean, it's like the government shutdown comes every 3 months. It's like we don't know what's going to happen next month. It's all in the cards and how hard you work and a little bit of like good fortune. And it was a wonderful lady named Jill Malloy at one time she ran Coldwell Banker School. And she said, you gotta pace yourself and you gotta have a work-life balance. Or, yeah, you can work. Sometimes you gotta work 12 hours. Everybody who's in this industry knows that. Some days you gotta work nonstop. But doing that day in and day out means you are living to work, not working to live.
Right.
And somebody gave me some really good advice once. I don't know where I heard this, but they said, schedule your time off first. Franklin Roosevelt, on his deathbed, again, only president to serve 3 full terms out and get elected for a fourth. Somebody said, do you have any regrets when he was about to expire? And he said, the only thing I don't regret are all the days I took off. The days I went fishing with my family and the days that I just, spent with my wife in the park. Those tend to be the days we remember. And I think you have to have a physical balance. And by ignoring my physical health, I've got diabetes now, and I can't eat all kinds of junk food that I used to love. And I can't drink alcohol anymore, which I drank probably to excess at one point. And, these are the prices you pay. And my energy was down. And at this point in my life, I work out almost every day. I do the things, I eat healthy foods, and what a huge difference. But if I had started that earlier, I wouldn't be dealing with the repercussions for that now. It's like I have a great roommate, and he said, if you don't take care of your health, you have nothing. So, and there's another saying I picked up somewhere, the Chinese aphorism. If you don't make time to exercise now, you'll have to make time to be sick later.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good quote. Yeah, I think people often ignore it and think of their health as not like important somehow, and it controls everything. I mean, just as you said, if you don't have it, you can't do anything.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
And ultimately, it catches up with your business. You can put and I'm a spiritual person. I'm not here to represent any denomination, but I will say that personally, I feel that we are spiritual creatures, that there's a hole, like this is from Blaise Pascal, a famous philosopher. He said, all of us have this hole in our heart that can't be filled with anything other than a spiritual answer. And you can try to fill it with drugs or sex or alcohol or whatever it is. It's never going to work. And that's my opinion. You can take it or reject it. But I think a work, a spiritual, a physical, and time for your family, those things have to be part of your life. Or even if you made buku money. And I'll tell you this, I look at the people who are making buku money, most of them have figured this out. It's not like an either or situation.
Hmm. Yeah.
There was a famous professor, and I'm drawing a blank on her name now, but how she recommended moderating our ego?
Hmm.
She said, the surest sign that our ego is out of control is whining.
Yeah.
Complaining about, there's nothing wrong with complaining if you're trying to address an issue. If you have that's more like a righteous indignation. But this is an example I gave my agents when I was talking about this years ago. I said, we have a book in front of us, and I was saying something, it's like the answer key's wrong or whatever complaint I was making. And I said, gang, there's a perfect example of where the professor was correct. Am I really trying to fix the book at this moment? No. I'm basically, when I'm complaining about things like the book that I'm not going to change, not in the middle of this class, certainly, what I'm doing is making excuses for why I'm not being a better teacher than I could have been or a better trainer. And the lady said, the way to break yourself of this habit is get a jar, and every time you catch yourself complaining about something you're not trying to fix, put $1 or whatever amount of money that ends up being $5 if you have a lot of money, put a quarter in there if you don't. And I'll tell you the thing, Kristen, that I really discovered doing this was that I was complaining internally about stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And breaking myself of that. I still do it. We're not perfect, but I try to catch myself. It was like 27 times in 2 days. I stopped doing the experiment after 2 days because I was so embarrassed about the results I was getting. But that would be the situation.
Well, what I think so interesting about that as well, number one, I tell myself a lot. I try to remind myself that you can't argue with reality. Um, you can you can vent, but at a certain point, you have to accept its reality and kind of figure out how to deal with it. And I also think an interesting point that you brought up, all those times you put dollars in the jar, I'm sure if you were to write those complaints and problems down and revisited it a month later, they would be completely non-issues in your life. I've spent so much time being like sad or angry, and then months later, I can't even remember what I was so angry about.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It's like we get all bent into shape about stuff. And it reminds me of something. And this is something I wanted to talk about a little bit today, too, in the few minutes we have left. And I'll try to give people some practical advice, too, because it's not all theory and it's not all nuts and bolts. But Benjamin Franklin wrote an amazing book when he was in his 20s called The Autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. And one of the things he as a 22-year-old, and I guess that's why he was Benjamin Franklin, he said, I want to look at the different religions of the world because I know made the same conclusion that Pascal did, that we all are spiritual creatures, and he wanted to be involved. If there's nothing else in meditating, during a few times a week or whatever. And he went to various sects and denominations, and he said, I don't really feel drawn to any of these in particular, but I do believe that collectively the religions of the world have real wisdom in there. And he looked and studied, and he found 13 things that he thought were absolutely true in every society.
Mm,
And one of them was, don't be as angry at other people as you think you have the right to be.
mm,
And drink not to elevation or eat to dullness was another one. And I highly recommend everybody look at this. I'm thinking, no wonder he not, besides being one of the founders of the country, he was the richest person in the colonies when he died. So these general rules are not just rules for being a good person, which is really the most important thing. They're good advice, even for business advice. And I would also recommend a book with a terrible title. It's called Think and Grow Rich. I never read it till I got I don't read books other people recommend unless I get multiple recommendations. I thought money, money, money is like Think and Grow. So I thought that was the theme of the book. It's nothing like that. The author studied the 20 most successful people in America at that time, measuring success financially, which is another issue. But one of the things they all had in common was they could visualize where they were going. And here's something else that's super important that was in all three of these books. The other one that I like a lot that I didn't mention is called Seven Habits of Effective People.
mm.
Amazing books. And the first chapter in Think and Grow Rich, the man's talking about his son who's born deaf. And you may know that if you've read the book. And his son didn't even have an aperture for sound to enter his brain. He didn't have a hole where sound could enter his head. And his doctor said, we're terribly sorry, Mr. Hill. Napoleon Hill wrote the book. Your son is deaf, and he's going to be deaf the rest of his life. And soon as he got his son away from those doctors, he said, you're going to hear one day. You just got to believe it with all your heart, and you will make it happen. I don't care what those doctors say. And not only did he regain his hearing, he went on to teach at a deaf school and invent some of the first hearing aids. So that's something like the people that book was patterned off of: Rockefeller, Carnegie, uh, Thomas Edison. They were the luminaries of that age. And this is something they all had in common. And another thing that they had in common, which I believe in, was also something Benjamin Franklin believed very strongly. The universe reacts to us when it feels we are concerned about our fellow human beings. And Franklin thought, God doesn't need my money. God doesn't really need anything from me. But the one thing I think he wants from me is to find need in the community. And there's a screaming need out there right now, and address it in my limited way, even if it's only to donate $25 to a charity today, or host a dinner, or put groceries in a bag at your local church or synagogue or mosque, whatever you believe in. I think we do show our gratitude when we do little things for others. And this isn't just a good idea to make us better people. This was something every single person in that book believed firmly. Why should the universe, or God, or whatever you want to call that great spiritual force, why should it help us when we're all absorbed in ourselves?
Nah.
And I believe that fully. And of course, Franklin went on to start libraries and universities, and he was the shining example of somebody who practiced what he preached.
Yeah. Well, I think that's wonderful. I think that's such a great ending note of just, the impact you can have on other people and how important that is to give back. Please tell everybody where to find you and how to work with you, both, as a teacher and as an agent.
Well, I'm with Samson Realty in Clarksville, Maryland. Can I give my phone number out?
Of course.
I'm okay with that. It's 443-622-SOLD. So easy to remember. 443-622-SOLD. I would love to have any of you join my class at TriStar Academy. You can go to mytristaracademy.com And Sarah, the lady who runs the school, is carrying on the legacy of her father. She's not doing it for money. She barely breaks even on the school, but it's all about what we just discussed, giving back.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for being here and giving us such great topics to talk about.
And Kristen, I want to thank you and the podcast host for, in your own way, you're giving back to the community by giving people like me a chance to express our viewpoint and giving us a little bit of light we wouldn't ever otherwise see. So thank you so much.
Amazing. Well, thank you for saying that. And then thank you everyone for listening. I hope you got a lot of inspiration. I think there's a lot of good takeaways from this and a lot of good books to check out as well. So we will see you back next time.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.